Welcome to the Success is a Choice podcast. I'm your host, Jamy Bechler. And today we have a very special guest on our show, TEDx speaker and #1 best-selling author of The 6 Habits, Laura DiBenedetto, will join us. And she's going to teach us how to create a life of our dreams without sacrificing what we love. As the founder and CEO of Vision Advertising, she has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs build and grow profitable enterprises entirely on their own terms. And she started this company, get this, when she was only 19 years old. She started this big, huge old company. So we look forward to learning the secrets to how to be happy in the next few minutes from America's happiness coach. So let's get at it. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Let's do this.
I appreciate you joining us. Now, not too long ago, you moved to Hawaii, and then not too long ago, you moved back from Hawaii. So aloha.
Yes, aloha means hello and goodbye.
Hello and goodbye. So that's awesome. Aloha. So your story, we'll get into your story a little bit, but you grew up in Massachusetts, you moved to Hawaii, and then the pandemic hit, COVID hit, and now you live in Florida. So warm weather, you got out of Massachusetts. That's nice. But now you're in Florida, but kind of give us a 30,000 foot viewpoint of just kind of who you are, what you do right now for those of us that are, or for those of our listeners that aren't necessarily, haven't read your book or aren't familiar with your story.
Sure. So I was the young, scrappy rebel who started out life not fitting in, get picked on, bullied, and all that stuff. I had an abusive relationship when I was young, and I could have gotten beaten down, but I chose to come out swinging. It wasn't easy, but I definitely came out swinging and made a lot of mistakes along the way. But I started the marketing company when I was 19. And for years, I chased the almighty dream of early retirement, and I achieved it. And learned a lot of wonderful things along the way, became an expert of marketing and sales, and I love those things. And, what I didn't become an expert in was being nice to me or actually being happy at all. Turns out, although it's nice to have money and money can buy you vacations and stuff, the high you get from those is really not permanent. I'd always ignored myself. I basically set my health on fire so I could retire early and rich and do all those things that I always wanted to do. And I didn't even realize that I was miserable. I didn't realize that I was unhealthy and that I was literally marching my way to an early grave too. You win stupid prizes when you play stupid games. And that's exactly what I was doing. So when I retired and I discovered I was just left without the awards, the accolades, and, I had the money, and it's by itself, it doesn't make you happy. I was just left with myself. And I was like, wow, this is a big hole. There wasn't a lot in the hole. It was just me, I didn't have a great constitution. So I decided to start figuring out what the hell happiness really was. So if you've seen my TED Talk, you notice the opening question is, what do the happiest people have in common? This was a nagging question because I was like, what the hell do I got to do to finally be happy? Because I figured out what it takes to be successful and wealthy and blah, blah, blah. But the happiness thing, man, that is evading me. By the way, if you hear weird noises, that's my dog snoring. She's cute as a button, but she snores like a tiny little chainsaw. I apologize, but I'll say hello for you. Her name is Bella.
So Bella, is that the only animal you own? The only pets you own?
No, I got a tiny little gray fuzzball kitty snoozing to my right who doesn't snore. And then we have a little orange kitty that runs around the house at breakneck speeds at 1 a.m.
Do the cats and dogs enjoy one another? Do they like one another, or are they?
Yeah, they do. We live in a really happy little home here. My husband and I are always, just kind of sitting together at night and just being like, oh, I love our little family. It's nice. Home is where the heart is, truly.
So they're happy. They're happy pets.
They are. Well, when they've got us for parents, it would be hard pressed not to be happy because we spoil them rotten. We love them. We give them all kinds of love and affection and stuff like that. So.
And they listen to your TEDx talk. They read your book.
Clearly they paid attention. Oh my God. Who said it? Was it Eckhart Tolle? Like, I've lived with many Zen masters, all of whom were cats.
Yeah. So your TEDx talk, what do the happiest people do? Your TEDx. When did you do that TEDx talk?
So I got invited to do it last February, before things got really weird. And then I was supposed to fly to Boston to do it. I'm from Massachusetts, so I was excited. Then that got canceled and all the flights were canceled and everything. I was like, oh, so I actually recorded it remotely on Maui, because I was living there, in I think September or October, and then it was like debuted online in November. If I can be really honest, it was such a cool experience, but not having an audience that I was so excited for was a little anticlimactic. I'm like trying to like compete with the lawnmower next door in between their cuttings, and I had to do a couple takes, and I was like, this is not what I envisioned, but it's still good. And then when it went online, it was actually really awesome, and thousands of people have seen it. And I'm thrilled that I can impart this message and hopefully help people to live the happier life that they're capable of. If me, the stubborn human, can figure it out and not set myself on fire and actually be a happy, productive, joyful, courageous person, literally anybody else can do it, because I'm a difficult human.
Well, I'm thinking if I'm going to watch something about happiness or watch someone talk about happiness, I think doing it on Maui, that background, that backdrop, the atmosphere of your TEDx talk was much better than the normally dimly lit auditorium where you have to stand in one little circle and
Yeah.
that
I
it was
mean,
a much better, like it just made me more happy watching it. I expected almost rainbows and butterflies and
right.
unicorns to be showing up at some point.
There was actually one part of the thing. I mean, yeah, the background was astounding. I had the Wailea ocean front, and I was there like at like an infinity pool. It was just really stunning. But we actually had to do another take because a dragonfly landed on my head. And I was like, oh, so I'm basically going to be like Mike Pence with the fly on my head. Nobody's going to pay attention to my words. They're going to be like, ah, you got a bug on your head.
That would have been,
Logistics. That's so fun.
is that take out there? Is that on your YouTube channel?
No, no. I'm pretty sure that the film crew that I used for this, they will probably hate me for the rest of their lives, just because of how interesting that whole thing was and my demands of getting it right.
I see. I see. So you're in Hawaii,
Hmm.
you were in Hawaii for that. You left Hawaii,
Hmm.
and you've been in Florida for a little while now, warm
Hmm.
weather, all this kind of stuff, but you're kind of retired
Yeah,
in a
kind
way.
of.
You're kind of
Um,
retired.
yeah. So I work an awful lot for someone who's retired. For me, like the definition of retirement is I don't have to work anymore, and I don't. Um, I actually suck at sitting still. I'm I don't know how to do it. Like if I have too much time on my hands, I start looking around the house, but like, that wall could really be a different color. And, I think I need to do this. And oh my God, that would be much more efficient if I built a closet. And so now I've gotten into home improvement. So yeah, I work and everything. And like I retired from the marketing company. I still own it. The pandemic hit. My successor got cancer. So I had to jump back in and help out. She's doing okay, by the way. And we're very grateful. So she's back, which is great. But you know, I just have this mission now. I don't even call it work. It's like, I just care about this so much. Like I was such a miserable lump, and I don't want other people to feel that way. And the sad part is I know they do. I know people feel the way I used to feel, and it's entirely optional. Success is a choice. So is misery. So is happiness. And it's crazy. Like you don't have to like give up your dreams to be happy. You don't have to sit on a meditation pillow for like every morning. You don't have to do that. You need a better relationship with you, your life, and action. That's it. And that was the magic recipe. I managed to figure it out, and I'm a very pragmatic New Englander. I didn't write the book with a lot of like fluff and, magical, spiritually woo-woo stuff. And I enjoy all that stuff, by the way. But I didn't write it that way because it's not how I think and it's not how I process information. I was like, can you just give me like a step-by-step process here on exactly how I achieve happiness? Can you break it down? So I asked this of myself, and I managed to find the actual process. And it's not like a hard thing, which I was relieved to discover, but it is It is definitely a labor of love when you decide to unlearn all the toxic crap that made you the unhappy lump that you are, and learn a different way of being. It's hard. You know,
So
it's,
the cynic would say, well, sure, I could be happy. I can be happy too if I'm retiring at age 37, passive income, six figures, owned a company. But then,
mhm,
essentially, yeah, I could be happy if I'm living in a nice place and making a lot of money.
mhm. Yeah.
Shoot holes in that.
Yeah, I'd love to shoot some holes in it. So I retired and I wasn't happy. So there's that. But also, like, happiness isn't where you are. It's who you are. And I didn't move to Hawaii to become happy. I moved there as a reward for getting happy and realizing, oh, damn, I'm missing out on a lot of life. I got to go do this. And I got more courageous. And you know what? It's really hard for people who've never had wealth to imagine their lives wouldn't be better for having it, right? But those who have had wealth and live with it, all different levels of it, like Jeff Bezos' wealth, all the way down to like, mine and below, like, the thing is, it affords you a better lifestyle, and it affords you better tissues to cry into. It affords you like different opportunities to do things that make you happy. But at the end of the day, like, take all of it away, you're left with you. If you don't look at your life through a lens of gratitude, I don't care how much you have, it doesn't matter. If you don't look at yourself through a lens of I'm awesome, who cares how much money you have? If you can't forgive yourself for the dumb crap you've done with your life, who cares how much money's in the bank? So the retirement thing for a motivated leader such as myself, retirement was more of a curse than a blessing. Because again, I am apparently incapable of sitting still. So I was forced to reckon with myself and wondering where the hell did my value in life go? Because money's great, but it ain't everything. It's just tool, right? I like having more tools. Tools are great. But the main thing here is I felt like I didn't have any value anymore. I didn't feel like I had any purpose anymore. And when I retired, I was just like, great. So I've been demoted to CEO of doing the dishes. I don't matter anymore. And that's an existential question, right? So when you find yourself with loads of time and just a big expanse of nothingness, what are you going to do? Scroll through Facebook 8 hours a day? Or you can actually go do something and live the life that you see people in movies living, or actually do the shit that you used to dream of when you were a kid.
Well, your book is The 6 Habits,
Mm-hmm.
Practical Tools for bringing your dreams to life. Practical habits for bringing your dreams to life. And your 6 habits are kindness, acceptance, gratitude, presence, goodness, intention. Those are all great. How did you come up with those as the 6? Why wasn't it 4 of them? Why wasn't it 29 of them? Why wasn't it 101? What was it about kind of those 6? If you could just give us a little snapshot of how you got to that. Those were what made you happy. Those are the things that you need the habits that you need to be healthy. And it's not just your money. It's not just where you live or your success, but those 6 things.
Yeah. It actually all came from research. These are not 6 things I thought of or, had the intuitive to be just like, you know what, I'm just going to pick 6 because that seems convenient. If it were me, I would have gone with either like 5 or 3 because it's easier to sell that. But the truth is I studied human behavior. And the question, what do the happiest people have in common? Yeah, they do things like pursue their dreams and they move cool places and they travel and they do this and they do that and blah, blah, blah. They drink their celery juice. They meditate, they go to the gym, but it's not those things. I'm really good at asking questions and any entrepreneur needs to be. And the big question I always asked was, well, why do they do that stuff? Because it's not that you do it. It's why you do it. It's where it comes from. So like, taking a look at all of those different things and those things that successful people do, maybe they affirm themselves, maybe they meditate, maybe they pray, maybe they go to the gym, maybe they spend more time with their kids and they have really good boundaries. Why do they do that? That was the real question. And I was like, okay, so they're doing something specific and they think a certain way, they must, right? So I started just following the breadcrumb trail and discovering, oh, shoot, it's actually a bunch of different things that actually make people do those things. So You go to the gym because you love yourself enough to believe that you can stick with it. You love yourself enough to forgive yourself for skipping a day and you go back. So it has a lot to do with self-love, right? You take a look at your mistakes and you forgive yourself and you just keep on trucking. And that's an important skill, right? You take a look at really successful, happy people, and these are like glass half full people, or my glass runneth over. And it's like, it's not looking at life like, oh, woe is me. Everything sucks, and like, bemoaning all of our first world problems. It's living in a state of like marvel continuously about, damn, this whole life thing is awesome. What a ride, right? And these are people that take action and they have good boundaries, and all of these things are part of the 6 habits. Like the 6 habits are not just any old 6. Like trust me, I could have tried for ages to look for a 7th. There isn't a 7th. These are the 6 pillars that hold us up, and they exist inside of us, each of us now, to varying degrees. So you have all of the 6 habits inside of you now, and you might be living in the dark side of some and the light side of others. Most people, by the way, who don't know how to be successful are not living their dreams. They just feel like a miserable turd every day. They're 50 pounds overweight. They're fighting with their spouse and they're thinking about having an affair and blah, blah, blah. These are people who don't like themselves. They treat themselves like garbage. They take their blessings for granted. They're not present with a damn thing. Toxic energy is coming in all the time and there's no gatekeeper. And they're like tumbleweed, just bouncing through life, like according to someone else's schedule. Now take a look at the people who you admire. I want you to think of somebody you really, really admire the hell out of. I guarantee you, they think highly of themselves. Maybe not in an egotistical way, but they think well enough of themselves to believe they are worthy of the things they want, and they go for them. They treat themselves and they say nice things like, no, I can do this. I believe in myself. They're probably not that far overweight, maybe a little bit, but not a lot. They probably appreciate what they have, and they probably opt into what's actually happening. They've probably got good boundaries. They probably are clear about what they want and when they're going to have it. I've just described the 6 habits to you. These habits, by the way, they're not physical things like flossing or like having coffee or going to the gym. I am a big fan of all of these things, right? But these are physical habits. These are things we do that you can physically see. Mental habits is what I'm talking about. And these are the things that govern what we think about, because your thoughts are abundant and repetitious. You are thinking on average of 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day. And you're looking at about 80% of those are negative and repetitious and the same crap you think every day. I can't do this. I'm fat. I'm a loser. I don't deserve this. Why is my wife with me? Oh my God, she's too hot for me. She's going to cheat on me. Or I can't do that. I don't know what the hell I want. I need a therapist. I need a team of therapists. Ugh. You know what I'm saying?
If you are a coach or an athletic director, there's no question that you care about your student athletes and their development. The Leadership Playbook is a program that can help your athletes become better teammates and more positive leaders, just 2 minutes at a time. There are hundreds of short video lessons that can be viewed by your athletes on their phones or tablets. To find out more about how you can build a stronger culture, please visit theleadershipplaybook.com. In fact, you are going to get $100 off the price just for being a listener. If you're listening to this episode, use coupon code SUCCESS at checkout and save yourself $100. If you're a coach of a team or an athletic director, this is one of the best deals you are going to get all year long to help out your program. Once again, that address is theleadershipplaybook.com, and be sure to use coupon code SUCCESS. And now let's get back to this insightful conversation. So your 6 habits. What one has been probably the toughest for you personally to come to grips with, to grasp?
Well, as an entrepreneur, I'm naturally good at intention, knowing what I want and when I'm going to have it. It's just kind of like the leadership thing, like boldly go in that direction. Boom. But the one that has always been difficult, I have attention deficit disorder. Not super fun. Presence has always been really challenging for me. I think acceptance is the one that kicked my ass the most, because that's the area in which I needed the most growth, but I was able to conquer that. Presence continues to be the one that I have to continually tend to. That is the garden that continues to grow weeds. And I always have to be mindful of whew, I'm getting distracted yet again, or I'm checked out yet again, or my mom is droning on about history from 200 years ago from the family and teapots, and I don't care. Ah, stop it. And I have to constantly like pull myself back. But I've developed a new habit to support the habit of presence, which is continual hypervigilance and self-awareness and routinely pulling myself back. So that's become my buddy habit to go with the habit of presence, because I realize how valuable it is and how much my brain wants to suck at it. But I refuse to let myself suck at it, which is why I deactivated my Facebook, which is why I have timers on my phone and Post-its all over my house that keep me on track. And, I will like literally put my phone in a drawer and just be like, hubby, I'm not looking at that thing for hours because it's shiny. Ooh, it's shiny. I want to be present with you, and I want to live this moment as if I'm actually here. Because when I'm dead, I'm not going to look back and be like, wow, all that Facebook scrolling. No, I'm going to look back and be like, wow, look at those amazing conversations I had with my husband, and look how much we love each other and all the fun memories we made. Right. So presence is tough, but it's, I'm crushing it, but it just takes more work for me. You're muted.
One of the things that you write in your book is, essentially practical tips. What can you add to your life to make it better? What can you subtract from your life to make it better? Obviously, you just mentioned Facebook. That's something that you've cut out. Were there other things that you cut out? And I'm assuming when you cut out something, you essentially add something good to your life.
Well, that's the habit of goodness. That goodness is the math one, where you're adding good, subtracting bad. And for me, it's like, I don't want to be on social media of any kind, because I just find it to be like a massive like source of toxic crap and, manipulation. And it is. So I create a good boundary there, but it actually does create room for other things. And I can fill it up with stillness, by the way, which is something. It's also nothing. The nothing is something. How ironic is that? But in the case of like, I used to spend a lot of my mornings farting around on social media. I don't do that anymore. I wake up at the same time that I always used to. And now I'll listen to an audiobook while I clean the kitchen. I have a nice leisurely breakfast without any sort of technology. I'll actually taste my damn food. And I actually start my day happy every day because I'm actually doing something that I like. I'm having a nice coffee. I'm hanging out with the kitty, enjoying the sunshine, and enjoying what it is to be a human. So sometimes the stuff that we replace, they can be really tiny and sometimes truly just nothing, and making space for the unexpected to appear.
So do you do anything intentional in the morning to get into this frame of mind? Maybe, like the old Saturday Night Live skit with Stuart Smalley, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
I love that. That's even mentioned in my book somewhere.
Yes. Do you have Post-it notes? Do you
No.
repeat the same thing over and over again when you wake up?
No, and I don't need to. That's the thing. When you develop a mental habit, a habit is something we do unconsciously. I don't need to consciously force myself to do this stuff. It just organically arrives. So I wake up and I don't set my alarm. I just wake up after I'm done sleeping. It's kind of always been my thing. Like I go to bed at like 10, 11 or 12 and, I don't begin my day till 10 a.m. So I wake up when I wake up and, I like to have my coffee in the morning and just, for me, my only routine is asking myself what I want and then responding and giving myself what I want. And sometimes it's, I can't imagine making coffee right now. I think I'm going to go get one and go see humans, or no, I just really want to be in my fuzzy bathrobe right now and just have some silence, or I can't wait to listen to this podcast, or blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't need any of that other stuff. And that's the thing. Like, there's so many wonderful, awesome books out there and so many great tools. Like Hal Elrod wrote like The Miracle Morning. And I did that for a while. But I also realized after writing my own book that when you actually build the mental habits and the unconscious behavior and the tendency toward choosing yourself, having a good relationship with yourself in life, you don't need all that external input because you are internally satisfied. And frankly, I don't want to do anything that feels like work And I loved the Miracle Morning stuff, but after a while it felt like work. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I don't like routine. And everybody always wants to know, which is interesting. Laura, what are your routines? Get up, poop, have coffee. Like that's my routine. Like I don't need all this external crap because I've actually built my internal world so solid that I don't have to do this extra stuff to make me feel good. And that's, I think, the magic that I want to give to other people. It's like, you don't need to constantly do all this other stuff to feel whole. What would happen if you woke up and felt that way from the moment you opened your freaking eyeballs?
Well, I like what you say about you emphasized the word habits earlier. Habits. And you don't need to intentionally say something or do all this stuff because it's a habit. It's what you've become. It just naturally happens.
Yeah.
And we have lots of coaches, athletes, people in sports that listen to this show and they understand habits. I can't explain why I just made that basket. I've just done it. I've just done the right things for years and years and years.
Correct. You trained your body and your mind to do it. And this is the same thing. You're training your mind to do it. This is all mental stuff. And you know what? I'm just going to pick on the flossing example because I use it a lot and it just makes sense. Like, I don't know what's harder, quitting smoking or starting flossing, but I don't smoke, so I can't really answer that. But if your dentist has ever yelled at you and be like, you need to floss more, like mine used to, and then you try to force yourself to floss enough, but then, you keep going to the dentist and they're like, I can tell you're not flossing enough. Your gums are bleeding. You ever try to acquire that habit? You can't just decide, oh, I floss every day and then boom, you do it. I mean, there's like 1% of the population that can do that. But for the rest of us humans, you actually have to force yourself consciously for a period of time to be a person who flosses. And by God, you floss when you don't feel like it. And then eventually you stop having opinions about it. The narrator in your head shuts up and you just floss because it's just part of the furniture. It's part of the landscape of your life. It's part of what you do. You're a person who flosses, but it didn't start that way. It started as a person who was resistant as hell, didn't know where to stick it in their routine. I don't want to do this, right? And then eventually it's automatic, default, no longer requires effort to do it. And that's the whole magic. And that's what I am helping people to do, is go from thinking poorly of yourself, treating yourself like crap, taking your life for granted, being checked out, toxic, abundant energy everywhere, and just being tumbleweed in your life, and automatically being the person who, through no effort, lives a life of self-kindness, total self-love, appreciation, presence, goodness, intention. It is not hard. It is temporarily uncomfortable when we face ourselves and we acquire new habits. That's it, temporary.
Well, the first line in your book after the table of contents, being unhappy is optional. Being unhappy is optional. And I love that. I mean,
is that why you had me on your show?
Yes.
I knew it.
No, I love it because so many people are like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh or something, like you talked about earlier. Oh, woe is me. The sky is falling. Things are terrible.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be that way. And even if stuff has sucked for a long time, you still don't have to be that way. It's optional. Like you said, I love that.
Thank you. I mean, I have to be really fair when I say this, that happiness and, misery and all of it is optional. But when you're at the bottom of the barrel looking up and it seems like a mighty long way out of the barrel, it's hard to choose it. And I know that. And I've had to choose it over and over. To be candid, this pandemic has not been easy on me psychologically. I have to choose it every day, and I have to choose to cling to my habits and keep them there, because believe me, my old habits are stronger. They've been there much longer. And, keeping it front and center, keeping my why in front of me, and really giving people possibility and hope, that's the thing that really keeps me going. And honestly, choosing misery is easy. Letting it swallow you whole is really easy. Choosing to fight it and say, no, I don't want this. And this is going to suck, but I'm getting out of this damn bucket. I'm crawling out of the hole if my fingers bleed, because I deserve better and I get one precious life, and I'm not wasting it being freaking Eeyore. Why is it that other people get to live my dreams, but I don't? get mad. Get mad. Like if you're at the bottom of the bucket, get pissed off. That's what happened to me when I retired. I did not ride off into the sunset on my white horse, da da da, while the end credits rolled and I was happy. I wasn't. I felt like crap, hated my life, I hated myself. I was fighting with my husband. I had to fight to be happy. You know what gave me the fight? The fire of rage. Rage is an unbelievable tool that people always be like, oh, rage is bad. No, 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 no. Rage. And we know this as leaders, as, coaches, as all these people that are responsible for, inspiring power and movement. Rage is one of the most powerful things. Can we do this? Yes. Do we want this? Yes. Are we going to crush the opponent? Kill them, right? The opponent in this case is the darkness that continues to swallow you whole as long as you allow it.
Nice. I like that. I appreciate you going there. Appreciate you going there. So you're now happy. Everything's rainbows and butterflies the rest of your life. You're America's happiness coach. What do you still,
but yeah.
what do you still on a daily basis or what are your chinks in your armor? What's your kryptonite? What do you still struggle with in being happy every day?
I love that you're asking this. Thank you. Because no, you don't become permanently happy. It's just not how it works. It's plastic and it's not real. The chinks in my armor is the same stuff that always bothered me. I just respond differently now. Like I was present and I was out yesterday at like some artsy fartsy kindergarten class for adults and it was really fun. But then my mom sent me a text, your father's in the emergency room. He sliced his wrist really bad. And I was like, ah, right. And my old self freaked out and but I was able to recover faster and express my own leadership, which was like, mom, bottom line up front, is dad going to be okay? Yeah, he's going to be fine. Okay, now tell me the story. And I was able to not get caught up in the psychosis of the worry. I just dealt with it. Like when my husband's having a bad day, it affects me a lot. It always has because I'm very empathic. But instead of responding and getting caught up in his mood or his moment of sadness or missing his family or whatever, because his family's in Europe, in Massachusetts, most of it's in Europe, I become curious about it and I maintain my own boundaries better. The pandemic, zero fun. Not seeing my family for a year and a half, zero fun. And I get depressed just like everybody else, but I'm more resilient. I face my things that scare me that I want to do with more curiosity than I ever have. And it's like, oh, I'm afraid. Why? Huh. So maybe I could proceed if I just learn more about the fear and what it's trying to tell me versus just stop dead in my tracks. So the biggest thing is that I choose myself more. I choose to notice fear more and pick it apart. I choose to notice momentum and question it, because sometimes when I'm doing something, we all do this, by the way, especially leaders, we get caught up in the momentum of success or the momentum of doing what we're doing. And we fail to ask ourselves, am I happy? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? And am I still on track? So I am much, much more of a great self-manager now. When I get sad, and I do, just like every other person, I don't stay there as long. And it doesn't hit me as hard. And sometimes when I feel sadness coming, I will just let it roll me over like a truck, knowing I'll be okay tomorrow. And I give myself permission. You know what? I get to be sad today. Sadness is part of the tapestry of humanity. And sadness is wonderful because it gives so much brilliance to the happiness of life and to the good moments. Why would I run from sadness and pass a value judgment on it? So I've become smarter. I let the sadness be what it is, have a melancholy day, and then tomorrow I'm fine. I find that when we run from the bad stuff, I say that in air quotes, it lasts longer. We don't recover. We go through things like PTSD. We dance with mental disease, and we can actually stave off a lot of that by just allowing things to be what they are. And honestly, the biggest difference is really resilience and courage. because life is still going to be messy no matter what. And the money will always go up and down. And, the government will either piss me off or make me happy. And other people will either piss me off or make me happy. And the thing that I've always been able to control is how I respond. And that has been probably the most powerful difference. And the whole life of my dreams thing, I always wanted to sit in the driver's seat and I wanted to enjoy this crazy experience on this wild rock floating through space. Now I am not a victim of my emotions. Now I am a witness to them. And I think that the same is true for other people. When we actually become more constitutionally solid and happier, that's when we can actually look at life as, wow, this is pretty great. Even when it sucks, it's pretty great. What a ride.
Well, there's no doubt people listening to this, there's somebody out there that you were speaking to and they're going to want to get your book. Where can they get your book? How can they learn more about you?
So you can get it on Amazon. It's also an audiobook on Audible. If you enjoy the sound of my voice, you can hear more of it on Audible. But you can also go to The 6 Habits. The word 6 is spelled out, the SIX habits.com. You can see my TED Talk. But, anyone listening, please get the book and just learn more about these habits and where you see yourself. That's the big impetus and the real call to action for you. Look at your own life through these pages and really start to reveal the potential for where you could be. Don't condemn yourself for where you are. Don't even think about doing that. Just look at, wow, this is what could be for me. Right? Learn about these habits, start to see how you could actually adopt these habits and train your brain to think differently. The recipe and actually lots of free, awesome stuff goes with the book. So grab the book, listen to it, read it, but just challenge yourself to see if you have the courage to lead yourself a little differently.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. I appreciate that. We will also put that in the show notes. So if you're driving, you don't have to necessarily drive off the road trying to write that down.
Bad for your health.
The 6 bad proven. It is proven by science to be bad for your health when you drive off the road. But the6habits.com, we'll put that in the show notes as well. So thanks so much, Laura, for joining us. And I appreciate you helping us maybe get a better understanding of happiness and how we can be a little bit more happy and we don't have to be unhappy in life.
Amen, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast today. We have some excellent guests lined up in the coming weeks to help add value to your life, to help you maximize your success and reach your potential. We want to make sure that you don't miss a thing. So please take just a quick second to click that little subscribe button so you can get all the great upcoming episodes. Thanks so much. And until next time, remember that success is a choice. What choice will you make today?